My name is Frtiz Robinson. I live in Deloraine. I used to live in New Guinea, and I'm having an exhibition in Lucy's Gallery, which is in Barrack Street, and that's going to be on the 5th of March, and it will be pretty good. It's going to be a combined exhibition of artefacts, the stuff that has arrived or been given to me over the last 38 years, together with some photographs, together with maps, shields, those sorts of bigger items, some of which are not for sale, and also some of the cameras that were used in the last 50 years. Some of them are quite old and rather fun.
So black and white photographs?
Black and white photographs.
Yeah, from when were they taken roughly?
From 1969 until, these ones are the ones I got framed are mostly between 1969 and 1975. But I've got a lot of photographs there.
What sort of things are happening in the photographs? Is it
large groups of people meeting, individual portraits of old people and women and children and events. There's also some photographs not framed of some of the early explorers, like Jack Fox, who was there in 1932, and the youngest of the Lay brothers, whom I knew and whose negatives I printed.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you took the photos in 1969 to 75?
Yes.
How did it come about that you went there and did that? Were you a photographer?
Okay, I was an agricultural officer.
Okay.
And I did my training in New Zealand, at Lincoln, in South Island. And when you're that age, you have a sense of adventure. Also, my father and my uncle were both served in New Guinea in the RAF during the war. So that there was some knowledge of New Guinea before that. And
so how long were you in?
I was in New Guinea from 1969 until 2014 or 15.
Okay.
But the last 10 years I was commuting.
From?
Here.
Okay.
Yeah, from Wigina.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And my daughter and son-in-law are doing that still.
Your son-in-law is not Chris, is it?
Yes.
Small world sometimes.
Yeah.
How long have you been living in this area then?
Oh, I came in 1974 with a wave of back to the landers and set up with my wife, and we were self-sufficient, and that lasted for 10 years. And we did very well. We had draft horses and we wove and we took photographs. Yeah. We did all sorts of things, and we're involved in the two or three big protests, including the Franklin. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the other things? We touched on the photographs that are going to be in the exhibition.
Yeah. In the course of my work, I had to go up the nether reaches of the Sepik, and some of those places are not reached by government people or any people from outside really for long periods of time. And when we went up there, we travelled by 70-foot canoes, big canoes, and huge outboards. And we spent probably a month up there, and I had several trips. And some of the places there, the things that they were using were so attractive to us. And we said so. And they said, oh, if you want them, we'll make another one. And so I've got a little woman's paddle, which I'm not selling. And I've got a little headstool, which can be sold. It's made out of one piece of wood. These sort of wonderful everyday items where, you know, the aesthetics of form following function and all that sort of stuff are just gorgeous things to have.
Do you still communicate with people in PNG?
Yes. And what I've done, and still doing, I'm putting online on my Facebook a selection of photos every few days.
Okay.
About 10 or 15 or 20 photos, say 20 photos every few days.
Yeah.
and started in 1969, and now I'm up to Christmas 2004, so I've only got 20 years to go. And what happens with those is that some of the workers that I was with are also on Facebook, and they share the photos, and it's really quite a nice connection. Yeah.
Can you talk about some of the differences? I'm just interested in the difference between PNG and what were some of the nice things about the way life was like in New Guinea?
It was constantly interesting. I'm a people person, and there's the full range of humanity there, from people who are like this to people who are like that. And some of my greatest friends were PNG people, both way back when I first started, he's now 76, one of the survivors, to much more recently, and I'll show you some photos later. But there's a pair of cousins with whom I worked very closely when I was working in a mining operation in Porgera, and they are as close friends as any other friends I've got, and were just wonderful. And the enormous thing about that friendship was that they treated me as if I was someone who plugged into them and was okay. So they didn't treat me differently, and that takes a long time in someone else's culture. And it was a great privilege, which I acknowledge here. Yeah.
Let's go back to the exhibition. We'll try and focus a little bit. Photos, bilum?
Yes. So bilum is a bag, a string bag. It also has the same word that's used for carrying babies.
Okay.
Yeah. It's universal. Everybody in PNG has a bilum. Some of them are made of different materials. Some of them are made of different materials, but nearly everybody has one. Also, when you go to things like aid projects and things that I was involved in, you're always given a bilum. Not just you, everybody gets given a bilum. Okay. It's the sort of thing.
And is it so each person has one, or do they have multiple?
Oh, some people have several. No, some people have several. And there are different sized ones, and they've changed over time. The earlier bilums have long handles.
Okay.
And the modern ones have very short handles. The reason being that the theft has increased. So they're now tucked under your arm much tighter. Yeah. It's a bit sad, isn't it?
It is a bit sad.
Yeah.
When did you notice that change?
Oh, it's quite dramatic. I left in 1976 I didn't really leave, but I left that job and came back to Canberra in 76. And I went back on a more permanent basis about 3 years later, and it was changed. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a shame, really, isn't it?
It is a shame.
Bilum, was there any other things that were going to be in the exhibition?
Yes, there's a number of baskets, a few Sepik figures, which everybody has. There's that big decorative shield I was telling you about. There's some tapa and tapa cloth.
Okay.
Tapa cloth is made from the bark of a sort of native mulberry tree up on the coastal areas of Papua New Guinea, and
is it just used to wrap things up or
keep
things dry?
No, they used to use them as clothes too.
Okay.
But yeah, nowadays they're largely decorative. There's some ceremonial axes. There's some necklaces, some really quite old necklaces. Some clay pots, some sand paintings. There's a couple of chairs that are made locally. They're pretty amazing. There's a couple of paintings, and there's about 8 baskets, a wooden crocodile, some modern masks, bits and pieces, small armbands and things like that.
Okay.
But yeah, there's those sorts of things. There's, in the photographs, I've got 19 photographs, and they are, just to give you an idea, there's a photograph of a Japanese boat in a World War II Rabaul tunnel.
Wow.
There's some amazing landscapes of, what are they called? They're like monkey puzzle trees growing naturally on these very steep slopes. There's child and there's old woman, there's wedding celebration, there's a rainforest at 9,000 feet. There's some big photos which are probably not for sale because they've been used a lot. There's a young women digging with digging sticks. There's old Jack Fox himself looking at Mount Gilloway, which is the highest mountain there, 15,000 feet, second highest fountain.
So you got access to the Jack, was it Jack?
No, it was Dan Lay's stuff I got access to.
Okay.
The Lay brothers were the sort of very early adopters of Rowley twin lens reflexes. Okay. So they had good 6x6 negatives.
Yeah.
And they're all, Danny was losing his sight when I was up there.
Yeah.
And I knew him quite well, and we bought some sheep from him and stuff. And he allowed me to use his negatives. His negatives were beautifully preserved, and I think they've gone to the Mitchell Library.
Okay.
I hope so. And I was able to have 2 nights where I had a free range at them, so I just went like mad.
Yeah. Because
it's all done with a generator, and you can blow your enlarger lamp.
Yeah, okay.
And I didn't. But by the 3rd night it had run out, so that was the end. I couldn't do any more. And they were remarkable. There were a lot of thousands of Papua New Guineans stamping at once to make the Hagen airstrip in 1936 or something like that. All those sort of photos, yeah. I've got them out there. I was listening recently to that television program called Human, which is very good. And she was pointing out that we always talk about weapons and how we advanced with weapons. You know, we had a spear, and then we had a woomer to throw it faster, and then we had arrows, bows and arrows, and things that you hit people on the head with. But actually the really interesting and most important things that actually changed humanity was somebody worked out how to weave. Somebody worked out how to use a clay pot. We cooked. That made our brains fed easier. We had time for culture. All those sorts of things. So I'm quite interested in all of that. But these guys here, of course, had all of that. Don't use spears a lot. They use bows and arrows and traps, all that sort of thing, yeah.
So what would they use the spears and the traps on?
What they call carpels, possums.
Okay.
Yeah, possums and birds. They decorate themselves with birds, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are they quite, I'm imagining, quite large possums?
Yeah, they're just big black possums, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's tree kangaroos, and in Papua there's wallabies, just like our wallabies really, and the snakes, which they eat, and then all the people on the coast have got lots of things that they can fish for.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a variety of arrows suiting the prey. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just interested, my whole life I was really interested in the humanity, really, and how people function. And everybody seems to me to be, they want to get married and have 2 kids and live happily ever after, and it's exactly the same up there. Well, probably more kids. But we're all alike at a very basic level, yeah. Yeah. So my life up there was very pleasurable. I enjoyed it a great deal. And I found it stimulating and interesting and enlightening. Mm.
Do you wish that there were parts that we would learn from there?
They live in groups, and some of them don't live in villages at all. They live in homesteads, and they're spread out, but they're joined clan-wise they're joined, but they don't live in a tight village at all. And the people who do live in villages, it can be very boring. It can be very boring. The village is 200 people, or maybe, or even less, and everybody knows everybody, and even when they scratch themselves, they know what the other person's doing. And so a lot of the young people would like to get out of that and do something different. And they do. And is that unusual? What about Tasmania? Young people quite often go away from Tasmania and they say, oh my gosh, it's so wonderful. And when they're married, they come back. So it's a bit like that. Yeah.
Starts on the 5th of March, the exhibition.
5th of March.
Will there be anyone else's stuff in there, or
No.
is it just yours?
Oh, my son-in-law and daughter-in-law, so Rebecca, Chris's wife, Rebecca was born in Wapanamunda. She
Born in
was
PNG?
born in New Guinea. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and both my daughters were born in New Guinea.
Ah.
And she speaks pretty good pidgin, and she's working now. Yeah. She's probably going back up there in a couple of weeks.
So that sort of work, does she do similar to what you did? Is it consulting and working for organisations that are trying to do work
but she's,
in the area?
Her degree was in archaeology originally, but she was an aid worker really. And she's, being a woman, she's doing women in agriculture, she's doing gender stuff. Unfortunately, there's a lot of wife beating and
PNG.
it's pretty awful actually. And there's, witch burning, that sort of thing. It's really very unpleasant. Not a lot, but there is some, and that's really ghastly. Yeah. So she and Chris go up there. Chris is working on a place called Lake Kootaboo, the bottom left-hand corner of Papua New Guinea.
Okay.
And he's working on turning sago into flour, which would be mixed with ordinary flour or sold separately, because it's gluten-free. Yeah, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Right. And they're gonna have a rugby team or something at some point.
The Papua New Guineans are right into rugby. Not rugby union, rugby league. Yeah. And it's actually a unifying thing, sport.
Yeah.
And they really do like it.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. It's sad and good at the same time. Nearly all of the stuff that I've just mentioned has a story. If I pick up an arrow, mostly I can remember where it came from and who gave it to me and why. And so I'm handing out my memories as well as an artefact which may be of interest to somebody. I hope it is. I've downsized from the farm, which had unlimited storage. And the family have all had a good look at what they feel like they wanted. And there's a couple of the not-for-sale things that they'll keep. But I don't see the point of keeping artefacts or cameras or anything really in a garage in the dark when somebody else might enjoy it. Similarly with the photos. If somebody wants a photo, well, let them have it, yeah. And be like this with it, it's okay. Yeah.
May as well get experienced and appreciated.
And help people understand how Papua New Guineans are.